Hello everyone, thank you for joining me for another TLDR video. I am Voodoo Pickles and today we are going to be talking about the Changeling. So the Changeling was written by Victor Lavelle and published in 2017 and is a very interesting story. So it starts off with Apollo, whose dad disappeared when he was a small kid, and he was raised in New York City by his mom, who is a single parent, and she worked a lot of hours, everything. Victor started to grow up, learn how to read, and she started buying him books to read and comics and things, and he would read them and then end up selling them off to other people, exchanging books and magazines for other books and magazines, and that just kind of became what he did when he was a kid. When he grew up, that also became what he did as an adult. He tracks down collectible books and sells them off. And so he does this as a career choice in his adult life. And while he's doing this, he meets Emily. Emily is a librarian, and they talk, they have a great time, except she tells him she's headed to Brazil for a year. So if he's still interested in a year, when she gets back, they can go on a date. In a year, she gets back from Brazil, they go out, they have fun, they end up dating, and then they end up getting married. After they get married, they have a baby that they name Brian. And Brian is just a cute little baby, little chunky baby, and Apollo is super happy, super in love with Brian. When Emily's maternity leave ends, she has to go back to work as a librarian. And when that happens, they're super sad, they're super upset, but it's something, they have to do. And Apollo starts taking Brian everywhere. Takes him to all the places that he goes for work, and they just start hanging out. He takes a bunch of pictures of him. He texts those pictures to Emily. He posts them on social media. He's just super happy to be a dad and to post all of these pictures of his son. And when Brian is a few months old, Emily starts getting suspicious that Brian is not Brian, and she starts receiving text messages from Apollo that are from a weird angle. Well, they're not from Apollo. She starts receiving text messages that she thinks are from Apollo, but they're not. They're from an unknown number, and they show pictures of like somebody watching Apollo and Brian from a distance. And nobody knows where these pictures are coming from. Before she can show them to Apollo, they disappear off of her phone. So she starts thinking that she's going crazy. And she starts getting more and more suspicious that Brian really isn't her baby. And she even finds a support group online of mothers having similar feelings and their stories. And she tells Apollo about it, kind of. But he calls her a little crazy. He says this is just just a weird thing that's happening, and it'll be fine, and this is their child and everything is fine. But one night Emily snaps. She knocks Apollo out, ties him up, and unalives Brian and disappears. When Apollo wakes up, he's taken to the hospital. After he is released from the hospital, he takes a shotgun and uses it to hold Emily's coworkers at the library hostage. He's trying to get information from them. He's trying to find out where Emily is at. They keep telling him nobody can find her. She's disappeared. And he's like, no, somebody needs to know where Emily is at. But because he did that, he was arrested and put in prison. And when he comes out of prison, he is very unsure of what to do, doesn't know where to go. His mother is trying to help him put his life back together, but he hasn't come to terms with what happened to Brian and that Emily is gone. And he's trying to be like, I had a perfect family. I don't know what happened. And while he's in this type of misery place, he tries to go back to work, and through that he meets William. And William tells him a sob story, just a sad story of how he and his wife are separated. She took the children and left, and he's trying to use Apollo services to find a super rare book that she used to read when she was a child as a peace offering to try and get her to come back to him. And they're they're just chatting. They do that transaction. Everything seems to be fine. But then after that, William comes back to Apollo and tells him that he can help him find Emily. And he goes through the surveillance of like traffic cams and everything, and he shows him a picture of Emily. Emily is there on screen. The timestamp shows that it was like a few weeks before when he's talking to William. So him and William try to find Emily. And that takes them to renting a boat, and they go off on this boat and they try to check these nearby islands that are off the coast of New York City that they think Emily may be hiding at, because they saw her go into like this little boat area, like a little pier where she got this little boat and went off into the water. So they're pretty sure she's on one of these islands. And they find an abandoned island with abandoned buildings that were put there during World War II to house veterans and like hospital type stuff. And then those were abandoned completely. So they think this place is abandoned. They get onto this island and it is not abandoned. They are taken captive by two women, like two women warriors. They have these giant axes. They take them into custody, take them into this little settlement of women and children. It's full of nothing but women and children. And while they're in here, William starts to tell Apollo that he needs to have them ask them about his wife, because they took his wife. His wife is there somewhere and he knows it. Apollo's a little flustered. He's a little unsure of what's going on. He is taken to the leader of this settlement, and the leader asks him if he knows about changelings. And he's like, I have no idea what you're talking about. What are you even talking about? She tells him that changelings replace human children, and they are created by a troll. An actual troll creates little changelings to act as children, and the babies that they replace are taken to the troll. And she said sooner or later the troll kills them. Whether it's by accident or on purpose, the troll's goal is to raise human children as their child. And so it tries to raise them, it steals the children, puts a changeling in their place, and tries to raise them, and will get frustrated or accidentally kill them, or when it gets frustrated, kill them on purpose. And that's just kind of the cycle it goes through. And the leader tells him that the women at this camp had to kill changelings, that's what brought them to this place, that they have a support network out there and different settlements across the world to help these women escape the persecution that they would encounter because they killed changelings, but the changelings would look just like their children. So these are their women and their children, and they're running away, and they're also running away from their husbands, the father of these children, who turned on these women to try and stop them. And so they help them escape, and this is one of the places that they go to. So they're on this settlement. Apollo is super confused, super upset, and is trying to ask about Emily. The leader tells him that Emily was there, that she was teaching some of the children how to read, trying to get them books and things, and that's why she went back to the mainland and then came back for books for the children. And he's talking about this. She's telling him, it's fine, we're gonna have this little get together tonight, you can talk to people. And it's like, we even brought William's wife here so she can tell you the type of man that William is, because they're telling him that William is not a good man and he should not be interacting with him. And while they're on their way back, Apollo talks to William through the cell, like the bars of his cell, and William's telling him that he needs to get his wife there, and he needs to join William or he will be hurt along with the rest of them. Apollo doesn't listen to him, goes to this little gathering thing, and there's an alarm that starts going off. They are attacked, and during this attack, William's wife is unalived, and Apollo helps the women escape. They have a plan in place already, and the the warrior guard women that are protecting the mothers and the children get all of these women onto a boat and get them away. And Apollo wants to go with them, but the leader tells him, no, no, you have your own thing to do. You take this boat that Emily used to have and you go find her. And gives him like this little cryptic riddle. And so he leaves while William is still having the rest of the island attacked. And when he gets back to the coastline, he calls up a coworker that's been helping him out ever since he came out of prison and out of the hospital. This man was one of his like best friends, and he's trying to help him out. He tells him what he learned and that he's crazy and that he needs to figure out, like, am I going insane? Like, this has to be going insane. He's like, there's only one way to find out. And he's like, I need to go dig up Brian. And this man is just, he's telling him like there's other rational ways to go about this, but Apollo's like, no, this is what I have to do. So this man who has PTSD, he was a combat veteran from the military, and he went through some hard times before he found his wife and before he started working at this book selling career with Apollo. So he's super understanding. And then he's like, well, if this is what you have to do, like, okay. So they end up going to the cemetery where Brian is buried, and they dig up Brian. And when he finally gets to dig up Brian, he brings him into the light, and it's dawn is coming up because it took all night to dig him up. And then dawn is coming up. He brings up this baby and sees that it is not a baby. It is like a bunch of sticks mixed with mud to hold it together into a baby shape, and there's bugs in it, and it starts to cry and scream. And for a second Apollo thinks that it's Brian. In his mind it goes back to being Brian, but he is now like, okay, Emily was right when she was trying to tell him previously that that's not Brian. It comes back to him, and he started seeing himself like taking care of Brian, like holding him, rocking him, feeding him, while all the while it was this thing and not Brian. And how Emily knew it, tried to tell him, and he wouldn't listen, and he almost had her committed because of it. And so he sees that's what it is. He tries to kill it and then puts it back into the grave, and then him and the guy leave. And he's trying to figure out where to find Emily, and he figures out the riddle is going to a forest. They're in New York City. There's not really a lot of forests around, but there's a wooded area that he knows about. So he goes over there, and he finds a man who seems a little odd to him, and he starts following this man, and this man takes him right to Emily. She comes to the edge of the forest, and she has like her hair flowing around her. There's like this bluish magic around her, and she's not even walking, she's floating. And this man goes up to her and puts a bag of food in front of her and then walks away. She picks it up, goes back into the forest, and once the man walks away, Apollo tries to run into the forest, but he can't find her. So he leaves the forest, goes back to where this man is, finds out where he lives, like follows him all the way to the house, and confronts him. When he confronts him, this man is just like, I'm so tired. He was like, I don't know what's going on. And Apollo's trying to question him. This man tells him that he does not know Emily, but she invaded his mind and now makes him do her bidding. And he calls her a witch. And he's like, she's a witch, she's in my head, and now there's nothing I can do. And he's like, she torments me all the time. And Apollo's like, what do you mean? Is she there now? And he's like, yes, she's there, and she's talking to me, and she's tormenting me, and she's taunting me. And Apollo finds out from this man that this man made sacrifice. I don't know if it's his far off ancestors or like his father or his father's father. Somewhere in his bloodline, his family made sacrifices to a troll for money. And when they came over to the US, they brought the troll with them. And he said that he just kind of kept it at bay, kind of kept it out over there so it wouldn't really bother anybody because he did not want to have anything to do with it. But he said his son, on the other hand, thought that they were not using this troll to the best of their ability. And Apollo asks who his son is, and he said his son is named William. And William sacrificed his daughter to the troll to get control of the troll from him. And that he is now just trying to protect William. And after he tells Apollo this, Apollo's kind of trying to digest everything. This man attacks Apollo. Apollo kills him. And once he kills him, Apollo goes straight into the woods and finds Emily. Once he finds Emily, she drops the magic. She just kind of falls into his arms, and he takes her back to the house, cleans her up. They're interacting again. He feeds her, and he's just like, what happened? And she tells him that she knew something was wrong with Brian, and then that wasn't her child, and he wasn't listening to her and was getting super defensive of the thing. And that when she found this support group online, it was all of these families, all of these mothers who were having these same issues with some of the children that they had, and that she met the leaders group through this support group, and that the only thing you could do was to kill the child. And she said she wanted to do that, but she wanted to find Brian, her son. And they said, most cases, you can't do that. You can kill the changeling, but you can't get your child back, because more than likely the troll had already gotten rid of the child. So you would have to find the troll to find your child. So she killed the changeling, went off to the support group, gathered as much information as she could about where this troll could be, went back to the mainland and found the troll. And because she was all by herself, that caused her to use this magic. And this magic it's described as being like all of the love and all of this like protectiveness that a mother can have. And she's been using that magic to keep Brian alive, but she doesn't know how to get into the troll, and let alone how to kill it. So her and Apollo come up with this plan to get Brian away from this troll. As they're leaving the house, they hear noise coming from downstairs. And they go under there and they see it's William. William has this whole wall of screens where he talks to people that he works with, and he's also following families, and he has cameras in the cave where he can even see the troll. They find out that William sacrificed his daughter to get control of the troll to gain money. And he has a team of people with him. So the way he does it is he either takes, not bribes, like a contract on a certain family to kidnap a child of a certain family. Like, people can pay him to have him target a family to steal one of their children. And that's how they get most of it. Other ones, they find children on social media and using through like internet searches and everything, surveillance cameras. Anybody who is on a screen or on a camera all the time, they put those up for bid, and people bid on which family to target. And then those children are taken, and in their places a changeling is put, and those children are put with the troll, and then people bid on how long those children will last. And so he has this whole just demented ring of this going on, and that's how he makes his money. And he's been making a ton of money from it. And they find him, they find out all this information, and they kill him. And then they go into the cave to attack the troll. They attack the troll, and they're able to use what they know about trolls. Is your trolls don't like light. Trolls, it's like Lord of the Rings trolls, where if you can get them out into the sun, they turn into stone and they break and they're dead. So they kind of do this weird trickery type thing, and they get the troll outside during the daylight, and they kill the troll, and they save Brian. And they pick up Brian, they catch a bus, they go back to their apartment, and the end. That is the end of it. So is this a totes or nope? I rated this a 3.5 out of 5. I think it's a totes. It wasn't the greatest story. When you see the title, The Changeling, like, you obviously, like, okay, if you have any background information about changelings or anything, you kind of know how the story is gonna go. I like how that the author switched it up a little bit, but I wanted to know more about this support network that was going on, and I didn't get that information, which is just, it bugs me, it irks me, but I get it. It was a story about these two. It did ramble on a lot, but I did enjoy the story. And it did had moments that surprised me and everything, and I was just like, okay. All right, but that's it for this. So thank you so much for joining me. I hope you guys all have an amazing day, night, afternoon, whatever it is where you are. If you want a more in-depth review, definitely check the description below. You can also join me on my socials. I have all of that linked down below. I hope you guys have an amazing time, and I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.